continue moving along. No, I don't need you. Oh, no, I don't need you. What a bad mind, I see you. So continue moving along. No, I don't need you. No, no. Hey, cause everything where you sit down there and gossip, I know already. Your lifestyle toxic, so don't come near me. Everything where you sit down there and gossip. Yeah, I say I know already. Yeah, yeah. I get a vision last night. Humble yourself and not cry. Turn my vocal sit this down mind. Something in my brain must ignite. But something don't feel right. It's spread my business like red light. Grow up and get wise. And don't waste your time. It have a special place for the haters. And it have a special place for the traitors. I walk in hard and you want to remain laid back. You better stay far. Yeah, yeah. Bad mind, I see you. So continue moving along. No, I don't need you. Oh, no, I don't need you. What's a bad mind, I see you. So continue moving along. No, I don't need you. No, no. Hey, cause everything where you sit down there and gossip, I know already. Your lifestyle toxic, so don't come near me. Everything where you sit down there and gossip. Yeah, I say I know already. Never me again. To put my whole trust in a human being. Too disrespectful, ignorant for the day and thing. But I know thing I have life and I'm still living. Don't care what you think, yeah. Only you're drinking water when people business you're in. You're running your mouth like sprinter. Like Mikey life is their neighbor. Fakeness come like a pattern. They want to know your business, to talk it on the block with a friend. Oh, na na na, bad mind, I see you. So continue moving along. No, I don't need you. Oh, no, I don't need you. What's a bad mind, I see you. So continue moving along. No, I don't need you, no, no. Yeah, cause everything where you sit down there and gossip, I know already. Your lifestyle toxic, so don't come near me. Everything where you sit down there and gossip, I know already. Yeah, yeah, bad mind, I see you. So continue moving along. No, I don't need you. Oh, no, I don't need you. What's all bad mind, I see you. So continue moving along. No, I don't need you, no, no. Cause everything where you sit down there and gossip, I know already. Your lifestyle toxic, so don't come near me. Everything where you sit down there and gossip, oh, I know already. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So continue moving along. No, I don't need you. Oh, no, I don't need you. What's all bad mind, I see you. So continue moving along. No, I don't need you. No, no. Oh, no, 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 no.
foreign toes. Down here I know their beauty to dig up in me drawers. I just watching and laughing, oh, oh, oh.
Betty go, Tito.
To build this nation, I try my best. End up in mess. Man, I give rank and fame. Do things to make me shame. Pillage and rape the land and leave me a sad, frustrated man. But I'm doing well. It's them in hell. Tell all them cross. It's them who lost. You know how I was salty and afraid to give men jail. When now I hold somebody, lock up some of them tail. I just watching and laughing, ho, ho, ho.
Betty go, Tito. Betty go, Tito.
Down here the living is very nice. No greed, no vice. It's polka every day. Classic music to play. Cha-cha, hear about the fun. And one guy, they say he tried to come. I'm doing well. It's them in hell. Tell all them cross, it's them who lost. And although Mr. Penguin used me in Bacchanal, it's I who gave him this tune to rule the carnival. I just watching and laughing, ho, ho,
Betty go,
ho.
Tito.
We live in a time when the rulers of men are scornful of principles of godliness, wisdom, and freedom. But woe, 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 woe comes swiftly, man. But woe, 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 woe comes quickly. Yes, they use and abuse women. They raise no children. They live a life of wicked thoughts, corruption, embarrassment, and shame. So in order to maintain power against the very forces of nature, they need to have the citizens living in fear. Man, but be not afraid, for there is your enemy. just like him. But be not afraid, for will come suddenly. I say, just as the longest road comes to a bend, so do the evil works of evil men come to, soon to come to an end. I sing, but mine, godly men who don't care that the devil takes over their kingdom, they would kneel if they feel that they could cross a deal. But whoa comes swiftly, man. Whoa comes quickly. Yeah. Now workers who want to please their employers and their bosses by victimizing their neighbor because today their party is in power. I see. But they know what they do is wrong, and it's weighing their conscience down, because all men know that no man knows the hour. Man, but be not afraid, for there is your enemy. A man afraid to speak of what oppresses him, enslave himself to a man just like him. But be not afraid, for will come suddenly. I see, just as the longest road comes to a bend, so do the evil works of evil men come to, soon to come to an end. I sing, bye. I sing. In life and in the Bible, they have seen the fall of men of evil. They never learn, they believe they are in the next level. But whoa comes swiftly, man. Whoa comes quickly. Yes, but the days are numbered, all the deeds are known. Their hate, their division, the anger, the poverty they have sown. But it's coming to harvest day, when the oppressed will have their say, when all those who hurt my people will have to pay. Man, but be not afraid, for there is your enemy. A man afraid to speak of what oppresses him, enslave himself to a man just like him. But be not afraid, for will come suddenly. I say, just as the longest road comes to a bend, so through the evil works of evil men come to, soon to come to an end. I sing,
speaker, it is a fact. They say that old speaker, it have a crack. That fear speaker, rock-a-ta-ta. No people walking out, people staying out. Throw that speaker out, make it hush it mouth. Listen to the song they singing. The word speaker, the word speaker, the word speaker. Ever in the song. 2011, you don't know. Speaker is fixing boy. Kalai, Wago. What about Adam? Meanwhile, Daryl and Simo. And yellow of love living in. More fire. When a speaker don't have no balance, it's like a fountain bar, bridging ignorance. Take a speaker, plenty bottom, no meats and no tops. The recipe for any party to flop. You can mix it, you can fix it, you can take it to any dance. It's a nuisance, it is bad for the ambience. It's that old speaker that causing that. That same speaker, it is a fact. That old speaker, it have a crack. We see that fear speaker, rock-a-ta-ta. No people walking out, people staying out. Throw that speaker out, make it hush it mouth. Listen to the song they singing. The word speaker, the word speaker, the word speaker. Ever in this house. Who you really think you're talking to? Sit down. But I understand you. It's fixing, and when they're good at throwing. More fire. You naughty fools, DJ for sure. Who think he can boss? 'Cause he popular. But people angry, some hungry, plenty broke, can't find work. And that speaker adding fuel to the fire. So take a good look at that speaker, and if you find nothing wrong, it's not the speaker alone, your own conscience that wrong. Is that old speaker that causing that? That same speaker, it is a fact. That old speaker, it have a crack. We say that fear speaker, rock-a-ta-ta. No people walking out, people staying out. Throw that speaker out, make it hush it mouth. Listen to the song they singing. The word speaker, the word speaker, the word speaker. Ever in this house. 2011 is speaker fixing. And if you know you're not good, it's outside.
Good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name's Sheldon Scott. I will be with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. It's now 5 minutes after the 8 o'clock on the Spice Isle of Grenada. You all interfered with me for that song 4. Yes, if you want it again, I'll get it again. All right, yeah. That speaker like your interference, man. Yeah, that speaker really like your interference. Let me see if I can find that speaker again, man. me say a special good night to those of you joining us via 91.9, 91.5, Real FM. Also, those of you joining us via Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, 94.9. Also online with their app.
Speaker, it is a fact. They say that old speaker, it have a crack. That fear speaker, rock attack. Look, people walking out, people staying out. Throw that speaker out, make it hush.
You know, there was a sitting of the Senate today. I did not get an opportunity to follow it in the way that I usually follow. So, you know, I'll have to do that overnight. Yeah? It was about 5 hours long, so I have to dedicate a 5 hours somewhere to listen to the entire thing over. Yeah? I like the hairdo, yes, yeah. Yeah. Thank Angie for that one, yeah. That's Angie's work tonight, yeah. And folks, we're going to keep the phone lines open from early up. So 440-7377. That's 440-7377. We're going to open the phone lines early tonight. So I did listen to the Senate sitting. Bits and pieces that I could listen to, I did get the opportunity to listen to. But, you know, interestingly, and let me just stop that song in the background there. Interestingly, I did get the opportunity to listen to the Minister of Education speaking on that issue that we've been asking for the past month or so for him to speak on. The last couple of weeks, yeah, we've been asking for him to speak on this issue. And he has finally broken his silence on the matter. And in fact, you know what? Let me let you all hear what he said. I'm going to play what he said on that issue for you all. Yeah? Because I think it's important that you hear from him. And then we'll discuss. It's a bit long, but I think it's important that you hear exactly what he said. Yeah? So let me start that for you. Let me just make sure this is like that. Yeah, let me start that for you. No, that's not where that should be. That should be right about here. All right, so let me start that for you now.
Within the last few weeks, there has been lots of chatter about the government allegedly having a plan. Within the last few weeks, there has been lots of chatter about the government allegedly having a plan to introduce an LGBTQ curriculum in school come September. I struggle to understand that for a number of reasons, because I don't understand what an LGBTQ curriculum is. Yeah, thank you. I don't understand what an LGBTQ curriculum is, so I struggled to even conceptualize what was being thought when people saying the minister is hiding, calling out the minister. Thank you, Mr. Clark. I probably beg for 2 minutes just to bring this matter to closure.
You have a maximum of 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam President.
No more. Thank
So,
you.
but I want to put it on record. Despite that, I want to make it categorically clear to this honorable House that the Ministry of Education, the government, we have no plan to change the curriculum, neither to introduce any, but I don't even know what the LGBTQ curriculum is, but that, I'm struggling with that. But we have no plan to introduce any such curriculum, and there is no plan to change the law, the legislation, contrary to what is being bantered about. And that the HFLE curriculum that is currently in use is the HFLE curriculum the harmonized CARICOM framework curriculum that has been adopted since 2009. That's the same one that's being used, and there's no plan to change it. I want to further state, Madam President, that the confusion that probably has been created, probably out of mischief, probably out of malicious intent, probably surrounds a document, this document, which is an international technical guidance on sexuality education. A document that was first published in 2009, with all these international agencies, UNAID, UNFP, UNICEF, UN Women, WHO. All these organizations, Grenada is signatory to. This document was first published 2009. Grenada signed on to this in 2018. This document focuses comprehensive sexuality education, CSE. Grenada signed on to this document under the stewardship of the former administration in 2018. Teachers and guidance counselors were trained in 2019. This is not a curriculum. It's a guidance. It's an international guidance. And if you browse the document, you'd recognize that it has to be tailored and adapted to suit the culture and the values of the various international communities that you might choose to use it or apply it to. There is no exception for Grenada. If anything has to be used from this, because it's a guidance, it's a reference, it's not a curriculum, then it has to be adapted. It has to be within the values, within the cultural norms of the society to which it's applied. What's the fear? What's the worry? But it's not, and this was signed on to in 2018 under the former administration. I was Chief Education Officer in 2019 when teachers and guidance counselors were trained, and pastors came to me very concerned that time. And I had to allay their fears from the point of view of a person who is trained in the behavior sciences, from the point of view of a person who is a practicing Christian, from the point of view of the person who is a father. I have no real concerns about this, because at the end of the day, it's Grenadians who have a certain value system that are going to be required to pull from this document and apply, if they so choose, in the context of Grenadian values, Grenadian culture. I printed a couple copies, Madam President, that I probably just wanted to circulate to members of the House. But
1 minute more. 1 minute more on
Thank you,
this.
Madam President. So I probably will pass on circulating this so that the members of the House could benefit just from what the concept of comprehensive sexuality education is. But I want to assure you, the government has no such plan. So please, let's dispel that once and for all. The minister is not in hiding, but I struggle to understand what did they want us to respond to? What do we think when we think of sexuality being taught in schools? Nonetheless, I want to assure every parent at home, I want to assure every school teacher, every guardian, any concerned Grenadian citizen, that under this government's watch we are committed to the values of Grenadian people. There is no plan to change curriculum, to introduce sexuality education, to introduce a new LGBTQ curriculum or anything of that sort. And we remain committed to the values of the Grenadian people. But I want to say, we have an aversion for sexuality, Madam President, that we need to look at, because that's where the scare is coming. Because all those things are right around us. In the news, in the cartoons, in the advertisements, they're everywhere. And if we pretend, Madam President, 30 seconds, if we pretend that they don't exist and put our heads in the sand like ostriches and pretend that it doesn't exist around us and tell education to shut up and tell the church to shut up, who informs our children about the right values? Who informs them about how to make the right choices? Thank you very much, Madam President.
All right, folks, so you've heard there, finally, from the minister who said he wasn't hiding. You had parents, the people in whose care, we send our children to school. He's the person that's guiding the policy. that's being used in those schools. And we have concerns. We still have concerns. We had concerns before, and due to what I've heard him say, that there are several concerns I still have. Yeah? So we heard what he said there. But we have concerns. And as far as he is concerned, because he does not have the same concern that we have, he do have to come out and talk to us. He sit down and he wondering. People call different radio programs, not just this radio program, they call several radio programs, and they ask about this particular issue. This is not an issue that was raised by the New National Party, which is the impression that the minister is attempting to give. Two things. If Eli didn't know he called in Canada, I could give him the phone number he called in Canada, you know. Yeah? Mr. Minister Dave Andrew, I could get the number that you was calling in Carriacou, in Canada, you know. And I could tell you exactly where the person who is very high up in the teachers union, in fact, they could be the highest of the high in the teachers union in Canada. When you try to cook up now, the distraction of trying to say, is NNP that do it? It's not NNP that do it. The president of the Teachers Association, he came out and he said, in fact, I should have his, let me see if I have it somewhere here, what the president of the Teachers Union said in relation to this issue. And
GBN was informed.
Yes, let's hear what the president of the Teachers Union had to say in relation to this one. Let me just pull it up. I usually have to pull it up, and I'll take the calls after. Let me just complete on this one, and I'll take the calls in a while, because I don't want to break the flow on this one. So let's just get both of them. Let me make sure I have it correct this time. Nice.
GBN was informed that government plans to push a new health and family life education curriculum from September that caters for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community. GBN reached out to President of the Grenada Union of Teachers, Jude Bartholomew, who said his union and the teachers they represent will in no way agree to reach any form of the LGBTQ curriculum in schools across the island. While there's been no official talks with the government or officials from the Ministry of Education on this topic, Bartholomew said the teachers have brought to his attention plans to include this form of education in schools. He claimed that this information was disclosed to teachers during a recent workshop.
I've been hearing talk about it with other teachers. I heard that there was a workshop in Grenada with the CTF and other persons, and what would have happened, teachers would have listened to that and hear something about the same issue or topic that you were talking about through discussion and presentation. And based on discussions and what I heard with some teachers, what they expressed, they were really, really mad. And I think that teachers, what you're hearing there, that is not our lifestyle and such, and is a bit strange and unfortunate, and teachers did really speak out about it. So I only heard about that from the teachers who were in the workshop, and that did not go down well with them.
The union leader said the present administration should not be pressured by any international organization to incorporate LGBTQ teaching in the school's curriculum, since it is against the morals and values of Grenada and its people.
Here from the Grenada Union of Teachers and from me as the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers who represent our members as teachers, this is a no-no for us. So we put it on notice to the Ministry of Education, the Minister for Education, and the government of Grenada that we draw the line when it comes to that, and we say no to that in our schools. We say no to that, and teachers are saying no to that.
Echoing the same sentiments is...
All right. So we've heard there from the president. You didn't hear there from the political leader of the New National Party. That's not who was speaking there. That's none that the political leader of the New National Party is not one of the voices that you were just hearing there. No member of the New National Party was who you were just hearing from there. There was a news report on the Grenada Broadcasting Network on or about the 12th or 13th of this month in relation to this issue. Prior to that, there have been rumors in circulation that this is coming to our education system. I was hearing it, and again, as I said on this program, I dismissed it. When I heard it, I dismissed it. I said, nah, man, nobody ain't going to try that. I dismissed it. But then you heard the president of the teachers union. Instead of attacking those who call you out, Mr. Dave Andrew, instead of attacking those who call you out and say, come out and explain to us what you have done today could have been done 2 weeks ago, could have been done 3 weeks ago. But in your arrogance toward the Grenadian people, who are the people? Well, they didn't vote to put you in. You get licks like what? But your party won and you were given the opportunity to be the Minister of Education. And as such, on an issue like this, that is one that a lot of people have very strong opinions on, whether they agree that something of the sort ought to be done or they disagree. They have very strong opinions on this. Any person who was not as arrogant as yourself, any person who was not probably trying, as somebody say, in the lab trying to cook up a lie, would have come to the Grenadian people immediately and just say, hey, nah, that is not true. How much did it take out of you to be able to come out to the Grenadian people and simply say to us, this is not true? Instead of that, you found it necessary to go into the parliament today in all your arrogance about you wasn't hiding. We know you're listening to the program and you're listening on a nightly basis. We know that. And those of you that miss it because you're doing something else, you go back and you listen. Or you have people that take notes to tell you what was said about you. We know that. Yeah? We know that. But you come today arrogant about I wasn't hiding. You was hiding. You was hiding. Because it had a parliament sitting, you could no longer hide. You had to come out in front of a live audience. So you could no longer hide. You're a coward. You were hiding. Yeah? And that is why we demanded of you a response in relation to this, because Grenadians, on a whole, have very strong opinions and feelings about this particular issue. On this program, we said maybe what we're hearing, we don't know. We want to hear from the minister, so we want to know that probably if they're going to discuss it, maybe they're discussing it in the way that some Grenadians would prefer that it be discussed, that it is being discussed, but that in the way that some Grenadians would like it to be discussed. Because some people, because of the vacuum of information, they placed certain opinions in relation to what it was being proposed to teach. In other words, the minister is saying that Mr. Jude Bernard lied to the Grenadian people. Huh? That's what he's saying, you know. He's saying that Mr. Jude Bartholomew, not Bernard, Mr. Jude Bartholomew, the president of the Teachers Union, the minister is accusing him of lying. At no time, I didn't do it. Did you hear the NNP coming out there and saying that, oh, they're going to change the laws and that sort of thing? You may have asked a question that if they go this direction, then the next thing they have to do is change the law, because they'd be going against the laws of Grenada if they taught this particular component of health and family life education in a particular way. They would be directly in contravention of the laws of Grenada. And as such, to ensure some sort of equity, you'd have to change the laws of Grenada if you are going to include that in the system. And after all the hullabaloo, all the I am a Christian and all this kind of thing that the minister said, you realize how he done? But we have to accept, but we have to understand that this is around us and there's an aversion to it. Yes, there's an aversion to it. That's an opinion. That's a cultural something. Which is the reason that there has been this hullabaloo in relation to the issue in the first place. That is the reason there's been that hullabaloo in relation to the issue. Yeah? So the minister goes there and he gets in on, well, yeah, and it was signed under the NNP in 2008, 2018, 2018. No teachers go to anything and complain that this was being entered into the curriculum or any aspect of the education system. Not a single teacher. 2019, not a single teacher, not a single student went home and say, Mommy, Daddy, this is what the teacher was speaking about in the classroom, and this is what they was telling us is right and what they was telling us is wrong in relation to that issue. Not a single student in 2018 or teacher, none in 2019, none in 2020, none in 2021, none in 2022. But when you have the training sessions in 2023, according to the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers, who seems to be lying according to what the minister is saying, several teachers told him that they heard about this and it being introduced into the educational system. The teachers are being accused of lying by the minister. But he ain't calling the president of the teachers union name. He ain't calling the teacher's name. He trying to cast it now as though the new National Party and those of us who have asked him to speak and clarify the issue, like we wrong to ask for clarity. Who is them? I'm the minister. Nobody should ask me for no clarity on nothing. They're out of order and they fast. What are they asking for clarity for? That is his attitude. People like that need to resign. Go and run a pig farm or some kind of thing. You need to be on no minister, man. Come on. We have a call online. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Sheldon Scott.
Good night, Cammy. How are you?
Good night to the Grenadian people. Home and abroad. Patricia, Arthur, and Matthew Campbell, good night in Canada. And Mr. Watson, America. And all the Grenadians home and abroad that is listening. Mr. Scott, GBN, that first speak about this thing they're going to bring in school. And the man, Mr. The union man, the teacher man, come and he said that will be a no-no. He said they had some, for me to recall, he said they had some meeting with teachers and some of the teachers tell him. And he said no, and he called out to the government of Grenada and he called out to the Minister of Education. He said that will be a no-no. And the morning I called back, I called Shaggy radio station as a grandmother with 10 grandchildren. And I called up to the minister. That man what is speaking there. I don't know his name. And I said that as a grandmother, I don't want that for my grandchild, my granddaughter, to go and hear about this thing. And I call to all of the mothers. If Shaggy and them go back, they can hear it. They go play the clip. So Mr. Teddy, so how you name you're lying. Shame all this shame. Shame all this shame. And the union man in lie. He don't lie, so don't put no blame on him. You're not lying, all this shame. Because for the past few weeks, on Talking Point, they asking you to come out and say something. So don't put nothing on NNP people. Because the Grenadian people say that no, all on the street. And when people sit down and they're discussing, that is not the culture. Nobody is vexing who want to be gay and lesbian. But we say no for the schools. Leave them children, make their decision when they reach the age. And we stand up in Grenada for that as mothers and fathers. When you listen to different programs, you have fathers that say they're taking out the children in school and teach them home. One man said last week, he said, Shaggy, I's a bright man. I'll teach my children home. So don't come and put nothing on NNP people. Shame all this shame. And are you lying too much for people? Shame you all, shame. Because people married and you have children. Shame all this shame because everybody mouth on you all with this thing I want to bring in Grenada to show we don't truth. So don't come and talk no stupidness for us in Parliament as if we don't and we stupid. Every parent in the marketplace and the sidewalk and the buses, they're talking about that. That is not the culture. That is not the Grenadian people culture. So don't say nothing about that. I call out. I speak across them to the pastors and then priests. I say we don't go into that in Grenada. Forget that. Like, all these people, and I would have no confidence in you because I'm not speaking the truth. Or they're not speaking the truth for Grenadians. And remember, it's some Grenadians that put all you in the office the way all is done. I have no respect for them. Or they have to stop that. The devil come and all you will leave office and you won't have to walk the street in Grenada. Stop it. Speak the truth. Don't like the people. Do not lie for people, big people. And you have enough intelligent people in Grenada. So you can't come and lie these people. Lie. Stop it. Are you conscious of what are y'all? Hey, good night, children.
All right, Gabby.
I want to say good night to Miss Teresa in Canada. Thank you. And I hope everything all right.
Yes.
Are you getting people
And let me let the people that dropped off by you know that I have collected.
Yes, and the people, yes, the lady that
Let me let them know, yes, that I
and
did
the
collect
man
this
today,
afternoon.
we want to say thanks very much.
Yes,
But
of
you have
course.
to give Grenadian people work. So this Friday they will get them little money to buy books and pencils and back the children. I'll give them the fortnight now, so they don't have nothing for thing. Why they study was to give them the little things to go and get the books and the little uniform. That is the thing all this should do. I can't do me nothing. Nothing Grenada. I will always speak for my right in this country. I'm a Grenadian and I will speak. I live in I ain't living abroad, so people telling me. I live in here. We have poor people catching we ass in Grenada. Excuse me for the language. We suffering. Right? It's 10 many people supporters that put vote for all in office and I will line the people. Mister, I don't like all you. I don't want to put me mouth in back. I don't like none of y'all for what you doing to the poor people.
Gabby, you'll give us a call again.
Have a good evening. Good
All
night.
right, my dear. 4407377. That's the number for you to call and get on to the inside of tonight's program. And we have a caller online. Hello, good night.
Good night, children.
Hi, good night.
How are you?
I'm fine, you know.
Children, there's a thing they call honesty and truthfulness. And, Mr. Minister, we know you are listening to the program. If you do, if you're not, somebody will tell you. I think you need to apologize to the Grenadian people. Every Grenadian who would have heard about this issue, they can surely and safely see they heard it, they first heard it from GBN. And in my humble opinion, that is the entity you have to address first. The next thing we heard it from, it was the next person we heard it from, it was Mr. Jude, the president of the Teachers Union. He said it was brought to his attention by a teacher or by teachers who were in a workshop. I mean, even the dumb, the deaf, the blind could understand that. The teachers were in a workshop and that was discussed in a workshop. But based on what I heard you say today, Mr. Andrews, you're leveling that against the persons who hosted the various programs and speak about it, who enlightened the Grenadian people as to what they will be facing come the new school term. So that's why I said in my opening, there is a thing towards honesty and truthfulness. You're not truthful to yourself, Mr. Minister. Because, come on, you're trying to label or blame the various programs, the persons who host the various programs, Grenadians who call into the various programs and share their displeasure as to what the children would have to face in the next school year. So you go back all as to 2008 and 2018. My thing is, it's either you admit that what was said on GBN was true or false, or what was said by Mr. Jude was true and false. Up to now, you don't touch that yet. You don't touch that yet. You're saying that your government have no intention of doing it. Yes, you're saying your government has no intention of doing it because now the Grenadians decide, no, we're not going to take this one. We're not going to take this one. So the Grenadians stand up. The thing about it is that all you did not expect to get the Grenadians to react in that manner. That shocked all you. So all you coming now with a defense. According to the old saying, Mr. Minister, will and come again. You don't ready with that one as yet. Deal with GBN. You have to deal with GBN, and you must deal with GBN. Thank you, GBN, for bringing it to our attention.
Caller, let me tell you something. The minister has been very busy on the phone to an individual in Canada. And I'll tell you this. Find out where the president of the Teachers Union has been for the past couple of weeks. The minister has been very busy on the phone to Canada, to a particular individual in Canada. And I'll also tell you, find out where the president of the Teachers Union has been for the last few weeks.
Sheldon.
He ain't said the Teachers Union.
Would have told me, Sheldon, some school child would have told me, Canada have a hand in that. There is somebody in Canada that have a hand in that.
No, when I say that, just read between the lines. Yeah. Find out where the president of the Teachers Union has been for the past few weeks, and then find out why the minister has been very busy phoning somebody in Canada in relation to a response on this issue. And then ask yourself why he has not been calling out the president of the Teachers Union and saying, hey guy, you gave false information to the Grenadian people. Why has he not been calling out the teachers and saying to the teachers, hey, you all gave false information to the president of your union, who then came and brought that information into the public sphere, saying that, oh, my ministry told you all that this is the direction we're going. He ain't calling them out, but yeah, he out to come and talk about who call him out. We calling you out anytime you do anything.
Union, when they all have already cooked up and say it is NMP who are doing it. That is what they try to make people believe. It's NMP that is doing it. Because everything they do wrong is NMP. Everything they do wrong is NMP. So he wouldn't call them out.
Yeah, you see, he tried to shift it onto NNP, but he said 2018 he was the PS and so on. Did he say, as the PS, that the NNP intended to institute anything like that? No.
No.
Did he say that during that period you had the teachers had a problem and said, well, look, this is being instituted and so on, and there was this big furor about it? Because if NNP had tried to do that back then, especially knowing how you had that back and forth between the New National Party and the teachers, you know they would have jumped on that.
Exactly.
You didn't have that in 2018, 2019, 2020 COVID year, 2021 another COVID year, 2022 election year. You didn't have it none of those times. In 2023, with Dave Andrews sitting as the minister, you hear teachers start to complain that there's an attempt to do it. And you're trying to blame the New National Party?
Yeah.
Who has been out of office for over a year by that point in time? Come on, Mr. Dave Andrew, come better than that now, man.
That I tell you, you have to will and come again. You have to will and come again. And as long as the good Lord allow me the breath of life, I am waiting to hear he come back to us and say, sorry. I'm waiting to hear him come back and say sorry.
All right, my dear.
Because by his speech, the manner, you see how arrogant he was? You see how arrogant he was? By his speech, he was trying to make sure that he put forward what he want to say so that the Grenadian public will get it. He couldn't eat. His temperament was completely different today. He was not the simple gentleman everybody knew. He was full of arrogance today.
All right, my dear.
That alone tells he was lying. He was lying. And if he Christian, mark it today, the 29th August 2023, the good master having down in his book, and he's going to deal with you on Judgment Day. Sheldon, have a good day.
All right, bye there.
Good evening, sorry.
All right, 44073, and we have a call online. Hello, good night.
Hey, good night, Brother Sheldon.
Hi, good night. And let me just clarify. I can't ever remember him being a permanent secretary. He was the acting chief education officer for a period of time, but I could never remember him being a permanent secretary. But anyway, maybe I misheard what he said. But go right ahead, caller.
Yeah, Brother Sheldon, I don't know if the GBN is an NMP, and the president of the Grenada Union Teachers become NMP overnight. Because when that news break out, GBN and Jude Bartholomew, two persons are going to speak about that. So I don't know how even they become NMP overnight.
What I'd say is this: the mere fact that the minister is trying to twist things tells me that there is a serious element of truth in relation to what was being alleged.
What was being alleged?
If it wasn't true weeks ago, he'd have come out and say that's not true. For him to come out now and then trying to twist it onto the NNP tells me that there's a serious element of truth in what was being alleged. No self. I believe that there's an element of truth in it.
And Brother Sheldon, like somebody was saying, he was not hiding. He was taking covers in a lab, taking covers to come out and say something. Right? Brother Sheldon, this is thing people totally reject it against that. And a whole a month, the minister was hiding. Hiding. He couldn't say nothing. Looking, there's someone hiding to come up with something to come and say. You're blaming the NNP for something, which is the GBN and the union, the union teachers president that came and spoke about that. What the teachers told him. Right? And I agree with the teacher because you have a president. So if something happened in any function that they had, they right to go to the union leader and inform him about it. And that's what they did. Right? But now you want to blame the NMP for what is going on in the country. Everything that is wrong is NMP. Anything that they did wrong NMP. Or what is the NMP did and is right is NDC. But Sheldon, before I forget, I want to announce something, some meeting that we'll be having come Thursday coming at the Fontenay Community Center. Honorable Dr. Kit Mitchell will be having a meeting at the Fontenay Community Center at 6 p.m. The meeting for the people of Cherry Hill and Fontenay. We are asking everyone in Fontenay to come out and Cherry to come out to hear what the parliamentary rep has to say about what is going on in the country. Because I think the majority of them know already, but to come out and hear what the parliamentary rep has to say concerning the situation in the country.
All right.
So, Brother Sheldon,
thank you very much, caller.
Keep up the fire.
All right, my brother.
Fire in the boot, in the belly, they can't take it. They have to come and attack. They have to force them to come and attack. And see, things can be done easy. Something happen. Come out and talk about it only. Instead of you have to make it go hard around make people get vexed, arrogant. Come out and say whether it's true or not true. Right?
All right,
so
brother.
They're
all right.
concerned with the thing, and then we're just saying about this one. We can't stay quiet.
Okay. Thank you very much, caller. Yeah, and that's what we've been saying. That is what we have been saying. Anyone, our program is online. They can go back. You can go back and you can verify what we have said. We have said the concern has been raised. We have been hearing it. We need the minister to clarify whether or not this is so. That has been the position that we have had. That has been the position that we have kept in relation to this issue. Yeah? I even went so far as to say, and some people maybe didn't even like when I said that how could we be sure that is that direction they're going with it? How do we know which direction they're really going with it? Maybe it might be the direction that we approve of, that they're looking to go with that issue. We don't know because the minister refused to speak on it. And now he comes in his arrogance about he was hiding. It's another way to describe it. The minister was hiding. We have a call online. Good night, sir.
Good night, Mr. Scott.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm alright.
Okay, go right ahead.
Anyway,
You
I'm
go
still
right
waiting
ahead.
on you.
Yeah, as I said, I did it. I don't know why you're not getting it, but I did do it. But I don't know
No.
why. So maybe I put a wrong number or some a wrong digit. So I'll have to call you on your landline after and verify what your mobile number is.
Okay.
All right. So but go ahead, yeah.
Now, I listened to the parliament this morning. I listened to the minister, and I must say that I thought the behavior was relevantly decent, better than what happened in the House of Representatives. They were better, and they made some contribution. Fairly enough. While there was a lot of questions that they couldn't find the correct answers to. But I believe the minister got caught up. Minister got caught up, and he couldn't defend himself because two other ministers was trying to speak for the minister. I heard Mr. Andy, and I heard Mr. Redhead trying to speak for the minister, and at that time the minister couldn't speak. And the thing is that the minister name was called. The minister was asked to give a report. The news media say that they tried contacting him, and now the minister is saying that he heard, but he wasn't hiding. So the minister is the one that got caught up, and I think we have to stop playing those kind of games. Politicians, stop playing those games with people. The minister tried to say that the NMP signed a document for education, sexual education in school, which have actually, based on what he said, that have nothing to do with what people were saying. Actually nothing to do with that. Because the document that NMP signed, that he said they signed, have never came into force. You could sign a document, you receive a document from an organization, and you sign as receiving. But you didn't sign to bring it into no force.
And that's the impression that he's attempting to give.
Exactly.
That the new National Party signed something to bring this into force in Grenada. And Minister Dave Andrew, you lie.
So we have to say the minister really ducked this time. And this is the weakness with politicians. I mean, that's pure weakness.
So, and he referenced a document, and I have the document I've shown you all bits and pieces of the document before. I have the document in my possession that he was referencing in Parliament today. And there are 19 separate references to LGBTQ within that document. 19 separate references in relation to that particular issue within this document. And this is the same document that he was waving around in Parliament today and saying that it gives a guideline and it's based on what a country wants. Based on what the teachers are saying, the aspects of this document that were being gleaned to be introduced into the educational system in Grenada had aspects of LGBTQ in them. And he can't avoid it totally, because even at the end, you remember he said, but this aversion that we have to discussing the issue and so on. So he's leaving the door open at the end to, in case anybody come on the show anything, I could say, well, look,
Yeah, I mean, the minister had to admit that he was weak there. Because you two other ministers, as I said, tried to cover you, speak for you, whereas you fail to speak for yourself. So I think it's total weakness. And even in the Parliament today, Mr. Cox, Senator Cox, was able to clarify some of the things to them too, and even that young man from Happy Hill, he's a brilliant young man. He was able to point out some problems with them too. So it appears that anytime something is wrong, the fellas take out themselves and they try to put it on. About over a month now, Mr. Williams told us that the project in Moline would have started 2 weeks. And to date, they're still, and to date you're talking about money project still. Whereas the project had its funding already. So they stand fooling us. The project they did not want to look for money when they came in. Based on my understanding, they wasn't supposed to look for no money for the project, for the Moline project.
What they did is that they interfered with the project, which affected the costing of the project. And then it's simple like this as well, Cliff. If I'm building a house this year and I've projected that it's going to take me the next 3 months to build that house, the cost of materials is one thing.
Yeah.
But if instead of building it in that 3 months, I have several holdbacks and so on, and start to build it next year instead, the price of the materials will change, and generally they doesn't change to the positive for you, they change for the negative. They get higher. So
well,
what
Mr.
may
Scott,
have cost you 100,000 may now cost you 150,000.
Mr. Scott, let me tell you that I have an example that you are speaking about. When I was building my house, I lent some steel from a friend close to me. At that time, the steel I lent was costing $500 and something. Months after, when the lady told me she's ready for her steel, it cost me $800 and something. So I have the fact of what you're talking about.
Yeah,
right?
It
if I
does
gave her
change.
back the steel the same time, I would have only had to pay $500 and something. But she said, "Me don't worry, I'm ready for it now." And about a year more passed, and she asked me for her steel. It cost me $8 something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm aware of those situations.
And you see,
But what I'm
usually
trying to say is that
usually what you do is when you're costing a project, and that's usually how governments work. You're costing a project, you cost with a projection for those overruns, that if you go over a certain period of time,
yeah,
that the price of materials may change, and you give a range so that you make the financial provision just in case that happens. If you do it in time, you don't need to use those extra funds. But in case it does happen that you use those extra funds. In this case, though, what they have done doesn't take that into consideration. So you find yourself with them now with a project and wondering where they find the money to do it.
Yeah, but you see, they're not explaining those things to people, and that is where the problem is. Mr. Cox was able to explain that to them. They was not explaining those things to people. And all this money they're asking for, they know. Most of this money, so at least the projects that they have to spend money on, have not spent money on them yet. But here you are in debt to continue projects now of millions of dollars. So something is wrong.
Indeed. All right, my brother.
Take care.
All right, thank you. And we have a caller online. Hello, good night. Hello, good night.
Good night. Is this Sheldon?
Yes, my dear, you're live. Go right ahead.
Oh, because I'm watching it, but I'm seeing something else different on the TV. I just have an opinion about this whole teaching LGBT thing in school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a graduate of the Anglican High School year 2005. My cousins went to GBSS, graduated from 1999 till now. So that's at least 20 good years of secondary education. And never have I heard, none of my sisters, my brothers, my cousins, there was never any topic in no curriculum, in no secondary school in Grenada concerning young children when it comes to sex. To me, the topic should be abstinence, not encouraging them when it comes to sex.
Mm-hmm.
We were taught about our body parts, who is male, who is female, reproductive organs, what they're responsible for, and all of that. So I don't understand how LGBTQ in youth is being encouraged when youth are supposed to be encouraged to abstain from sex.
And you're a high school girl,
so I am an official, always high standard girl.
You were there when Miss Mason was there?
Well, when I went in, she had just retired. I went in Miss Batty's era.
Oh, yeah, well, another lovely lady.
Lovely lady. So this whole thing is perplexing me at the moment because As I say, in our curriculum, we were taught abstinence and safe sex if we were interested in having sex, to have safe sex, to protect ourselves from STD and teenage pregnancies. It was never about who to fall in love with or who to experiment or whatnot. We already knew who we were, male or female. This whole Americanized agenda, I don't understand why they're trying to enforce it in the Caribbean.
And
in the fact that the teachers now are being forced to teach something that we as Grenadian people were never taught to accept is ridiculous.
And you see, the minister still came at the end and basically said that it come in, you know. After all he said, when you listen to the but part at the end, is basically saying, yeah, they mightn't like it, you know, but you come still.
We understand that, yes, as I saw when he was discussing that we cannot bury our heads in the sand as ostriches and act like it doesn't exist. Of course it exists. But why should it exist in a nation that doesn't believe it? The same way we give people freedom to be Adventist, Catholic, and whatnot. All of that was taught in school. Every class, every child had a representation as far as religious beliefs when it came time for RT. So that, I could understand the diversity there. But as far as sexual education, it should remain male or female, body parts and body parts. Sexuality should never be taught in school to teenagers that history has proven have underdeveloped brains when it comes to these things.
Well, what do you say there then? My good friend Andrew Donald always puts forward that particular proposal, that it may be more important to teach the parents, inform parents about these things, and then the parents can inform their children. That the focus should have been on the focus should be on the parents. If you wanted to speak about that instead of just taking my child and teaching my child what you want, teach me.
Exactly.
And then I can speak to my child.
So then we no longer we can no longer consider ourselves a democratic society then.
Yeah, it seems so. It seems so. Because the minister did say but. All right, my dear. Thank you so very much for your contribution.
No problem.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, same to you. 440-7377. That's 440-7377. And hey, last night, I did tell you all I was hearing that the chairman of the board of directors of Grenlec resign. And I see New Today have put out an article basically confirming what I have said, that they spoke with the chairman and he resigned, and then they said part of the story was because, you know, he had issues with certain things happening. We don't know what we're talking about, you know. We have a call online. Good night.
Mr. Scott.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I love your topic tonight. You've been saying it for weeks now. and you was not blaming the government. All what you asked for someone to come forward, especially the Minister of Education. The Prime Minister could have done it, you know. He could have come forward because he's the leader. And he had what to show leadership. And he failed again. He stay away from this thing. You are the Prime Minister. You hear the buzzing around the country, left, right, and center, and you never come forward. But are you waiting to reach in Parliament to show all your colors? Like if we have job in Parliament, carnival again. You understand? And they have to stop that. You have a country, the people give you a mandate, and you accept it as the head. So you have to manage your ministers. He should have called up Mr. Andrew Long and say, what is this? Where did this come from? But they are not blaming the message. They're trying to blame the messengers. But the message itself, nobody arguing about the message. It is a right message. It is the right thing. As Andre always says, it's better to go to the mothers and fathers instead of going direct to the children, they have children themselves. And remember, Senator Scott, I hope the Grenadian people listening, he said, but it coming. So then why you ramp and rave and say all these things, and now you're telling Grenadian people, it coming. I hope you have that record there. So when they change them out again, you're going to just play it back for them.
Of course.
Everybody seems to want to blame you or the NNP. But the truth cannot change.
And adding things, as though we said that how they are going to change the law. We said that if you're doing that, if you're going to include that in the educational system, then you must change the law. Because you can't be teaching people to do something that you have done as illegal. So that's plain and simple for any person with common sense. Well, anyway, let me don't embarrass them by saying they are common sense.
Because this program you have is to educate people, including people in the government, as Senator Cox was doing today, explaining and have them sitting there, even when they get up to talk, they don't know what they're talking about. Just think about it. They talk about the Monier project, Senator Scott and the other young man from Hatfield have to shut them down. They didn't even know what to say. Why are you going and say things that you don't know? You know. Whatever you know it was wrong. How could I fire Sheldon Scott and then I want the project to hire back Sheldon Scott? I just say that Sheldon Scott no good. So then why should I go back for Sheldon Scott? Because I make an error. Simply like that. But I don't want to apologize to nothing, Senator Scott. Everything, blame NNP. NNP running the government still. I thought NNP had lost the government over a year ago.
It didn't seem so.
NNP is still running the government.
It doesn't seem so.
That's what I'm saying. And they better get better people inside it. I don't know, you can't shuffle nobody because everybody is a leader and you can't touch them. So I don't know what is going on because an alliance they form and the alliance might break up. So that is what's going on there. And if Mr. Williams was there, he'd have given it 2.2 because that's how it works. So anyhow, Senator Scott, you have a good day and continue the good work.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Okay.
All right. We have a caller on the line. Hello, good night.
Hey, good night, Sheldon.
Hey, how you doing, bro?
Hey, just quiet.
All right, you go right ahead. You're live.
Hey, Sheldon, I heard a voice this morning trying to rebuke Dr. Mitchell about walking out of Parliament. And, Sheldon, I was a bit amazed at that voice. Because they was trying to say that Dr. Mitchell was paid to do the people's business by sitting down in the Parliament. And rules, Sheldon. If you playing, everything have rules. And if the goalpost is being moved for other team to score their goal, every time another team want to score the goalpost is moved to suit them for the goal to be scored. The next team that is playing doesn't have that, doesn't give them that opportunity. Then the next team will walk off and have all right to walk off. I think walking off is a strong sense of protest. It is a sense of protest that says to the referee, look, what you're doing, you are violating the rules of the game.
What I'll say to this before you go further on it is this. That statement would give the impression that what they're saying is true. Dr. Mitchell doesn't walk out. Dr. Mitchell is there. He speaks on what he needs to speak to. He makes sure that he represents the views of himself and his constituents and even some of their own constituents on the other side in relation to issues. He makes sure that he represents that. He gives information, he gives advice. And at times, he may have other activities sometimes right there in the Parliament building, because he come out for a while and he come back and so on. And if it is outside of the Parliament building, he may leave. And if the sitting finishes before he comes back. That is not walking out. Walking out is when you get upset and you grab your stuff and you just say, man, me and stay in here and take no more of this, and you walk out. That is not what he has been doing. That is unfair to Dr. Mitchell.
And the rebuke, Sheldon, that they try to put on Dr. Mitchell, that rebuke didn't go down well with me at all, because, you know, Sheldon, people, there comes a time when you reserve that right. Nonsense should be called nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
You reserve that right when nonsense should be called nonsense. We saw what was going on in the Parliament. We saw when the Speaker of the House, I am not saying that the Speaker of the House is biased. I am saying that there is something about him which I will call he lacking something. He's sort of lackey when coming to the job. And with that, he trying to perform, and sometimes I see where the Prime Minister actually stand up on a point of order. I think what Peter David was speaking, the Honorable Peter David.
Mm-hmm.
And what he stand up on the point of order for is not what Peter David was speaking about.
It was what another person had spoken about.
Another person had spoken about. I felt that the Speaker of the House should have sharply rebuked the Prime Minister and tell him this thing, he way out the line. Because it's like you accusing a man of saying something which he never said. And you stand up, that form of point of order was just way out of order. So I am saying that the Speaker of the House, he lacking. I don't want to say he's biased, but I am saying he's lacking really the parliamentary rules and how it should be implemented. He is lacking that knowledge. And because of that lack of knowledge, I think he himself is being abused.
Let me give you an example here, my brother. If someone stands on a point of order, they must say which point of what they're standing on, the section in the standing orders that they're referring to. According to section so and so of the standing orders, I stand on a point of order and go forward. Once they get the opportunity, they are given the opportunity to give the point of order. Right? The speaker then has to make a judgment in relation to that. Because sometimes someone may say something that has to be struck from the record. Because you don't want 10 years, 50, 100 years from now, people go and they're checking over the files from what was said in Parliament and it's inaccurate. It gives an inaccurate representation, which is why the speaker is supposed to say, well, we want that struck from the Hansard because they make a judgment in relation to it. But not this individual. He just, MP, continue. I haven't heard the gentleman make and say, well, okay, yes, you're correct on your point of order, or your point of order is not good, or whatever. It's just Honorable MP, continue. And listen, I have been to the House of Commons in England. I've been to several parliaments, the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, and so I never see anything like this. Never.
I hope somebody is saying that, as a guy was telling me today, he said, Sheldon, them guys are not learning even on the job. He said, yes, some people could learn on the job, but these people doesn't have the ability to learn on the job.
Hello?
They're not given that.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
They're not given that, showing that ability where they could learn on the job. In fact, the way they behave is like, as the old Japanese proverb may say, the fulfillment of a teacup is in its emptiness. So them is already filled up. They're full. So if anything you pour, it will just become a spill. And that is what's going on. These people believe that they know it all. So they're not really learning on the job. And even changing the rules or shifting the rules is part of they giving the impression that they know it all. And, I think what should happen is that they should sit down together, even with Dr. Mitchell, and have some discussion on how the Parliament and the rules of the Parliament and all the standing, how a man should be able to stand on a point of order and all these sort of things, you know. I think this will bring a more smoother
Brother,
flow.
they have people within their own political organization that they can utilize. As much as I may have my problems with the individual Victor Nazim Burke, when it comes to the debate in Parliament, the man is good. Give Jackie, the man is good when it comes to debating in Parliament. A point of order or standing on a point of clarity and parliamentary procedure. The man is good. They have access to him, or maybe they don't have access to him because you realize that they kind of keeping away with anybody who was in the NDC before, but they have access to him and other people who were parliamentarians before and are still in the NDC camp. They have no excuse to be making these blunders. None.
The danger of what is going on there is they're creating a new norm, which could be wrong, which is wrong. And that new norm they're creating is creating it for another generation to come up and say, well, this is how it is. And I think that's why I'm saying they need to correct themselves quickly. They need to correct themselves and get these things together now. Because what they're doing there, or what they're guessing and doing, is creating a new norm, which is unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Sheldon.
All right. Thank you very much, caller. 440-7377. That's 440-7377. Yeah, so, folks, yeah, we said it last night. We said that how they are... We said that the chairperson of Grenlec Board of Directors has resigned, and seem as though... Cousin George, you're listening, boy. George William does be listening to the program every night. We know he does be listening, no, Georgie. Yes, so he make sure he find Mr. Ben Braffett, and Mr. Ben Braffett confirmed for him that, yes, he resigned. Yeah? And then Mr. George William goes on to speak about some of the moves, because as I told you all, we want to know, we're asking questions, if it have a board member that's involved with a company that does build the generators companies like Grenlec use, and if a generator has been bought from that company, and if the proper procurement procedures went through, because it could have jail and thing attached to things like that. And so if I want to move out from that, I want to distance, you understand? So you could have jail and thing involved with them thing. So don't be surprised when you see certain people decide, hey, I want to make sure my hands are clean. I don't want nothing to do with some of the things I'm seeing here. Let me remove myself. That could be happening, you know. But anyway, so Grenlec, I thought by now they might have sent out a release, so at least government would have sent out something officially, because the new chairperson has to be gazetted and all of that, or maybe they can't find a chairperson, I don't know. All right, but this is the present situation with that. I'm also hearing, strange enough, that Mr. Dave Cameron was in Grenada recently. Yeah, I'm hearing that former British Prime Minister, who visited only 2 islands in the Caribbean while Prime Minister of Britain. He came to Grenada and he came to Jamaica. He went to Jamaica. He offered them funding in relation to helping them improve their prison facilities and other things. That became a big hot topic over there. And in Grenada here, he offered us funding to help with the West Coast and different things. He's no longer the British Prime Minister. He has long left that office. But I believe, I'm not even sure if he's still an MP. I do not think he's any longer an MP, but he visited. I heard that he meet with cabinet, all kind of thing. I hope he tell them, hey, I did get keep that money. How will they go and play the fool with the thing now? I hope he get them piece of his mind. You know? Yeah, Dave's not easy fella too, you know. I hope he get them piece of his mind. Yeah? So I heard that the former British Prime Minister that gave the funding to Grenada under the New National Party to do those projects and so on the West Coast and other areas was in Grenada quite recently, last week or so. And I'm also hearing that he met with cabinet and things like that. I don't know. That's what I'm hearing. So maybe cabinet maybe they could say, maybe they're hiding the fact that he come because he maybe dread them up. He maybe bad them up. You understand? So maybe they're ashamed to say that he come or something. We have a call online. Good night.
Mr. Scott.
Yes, sir.
No, we have to be very careful. The gentleman that spoke a little before that gave the impression that the Prime Minister did walk out. And that is not true.
The former Prime Minister, and I did clarify that.
Right.
He doesn't walk out.
The leader of the opposition did not walk out. Mm-hmm. Plus that, he did told the speaker that he was leaving. The speaker did mention it.
He has never left the parliament without first. In fact, even before the parliament sitting, they may set it for a particular day, and when he checks his schedule, he may have another activity on that day, and not him alone.
Right.
Generally, parliamentarians would do that. You say, well, okay, I'm staying, but I need to be out by that particular time. In fact, in some sittings, you may hear them asking to bring something forward because they want to be there to discuss it before they leave. So this impression that he just get up and walk out,
it is not true.
That's not true.
And then the lady that was saying, tried to say that on a radio station this morning was not certain of what she's saying either too. She admitted that she wasn't certain.
Yeah, I think she got bad information on that.
So we have to be very
careful
careful with when we addressing the radio station what we say. Because the Prime Minister did not, the opposition leader did not walk out. And the speaker knew he was taking his leave. Right.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Okay, 4407. Wait now. No, I hear it's Tony Blair and not David Cameron. I hear there's another one now. Well, I want to hear. I ain't see nothing. And it was issued. I didn't see that. All right. Yeah. So 440737. I didn't see that one. Honestly, my friend, I had not seen that one. Yeah. And I was hearing it's David Cameron. You see, now it's Tony Blair to say, and not David Cameron. So there's a totally different kettle of fish. All right. 440737. We have a call online. Good night.
Sheldon.
Yes, ma'am.
This morning is Miss Anne said that Dr. Mitchell walked out of the palace, you know.
Yeah.
The color before Clifford.
I did hear her, and I don't think she did it maliciously. I think she probably just get bad information.
This person that call and speak about you walk out. He didn't take it walk out, you know. Anne Marie that said that this morning, and Shaggy. He said they're getting paid to do the work to serve the people in this country. So it's she that made the error there. She that said so.
Yeah.
And the guy referred to what she said. You understand what I'm saying?
But as long... All right, my dear.
Right. What I'm saying again tonight now, I want to ask the Prime Minister, please, Mr. Dick Mitchell, I live in Busheju, and the road in Mount Morris is breaking up. I did try and fix the Molyneux Road to make life easy for everybody that live on the western side. We all Grenadians, sir. You all gonna need the people for next election. People is suffering and nobody is calling and speak to these people concerning the Molyneux Road. We need that road. Look, this morning, you had an accident in Mount Morris. And you know how long people have to stay and people going to work. Please, Mr. Deacon Mitchell, my name is Camille Teresa Scott. I'm begging to you, sir, as the Prime Minister of this country, you all go and sit down and arrange to fix that road. There's a lot of people that is suffering through that road in Molyneux. Try and fix it for us, please. I know you all make a big error there, but try and work on that. Try and work on the Molyneux Road. Don't punish people. Do not punish the Grenadian people for that, sir.
Cammy.
Only try and fix that road.
Cammy.
Mount Morris Road smashing up. Nobody will call in and speak about that. It's a problem we have. All right, have a good night.
Cammy, before you go though, you're right there where your booth is. You see what's going on the West Coast on an evening time for bus.
I don't know what you're saying, Mr. Scott.
I'm saying that you're on the West Coast. Where your bus is there, where your booth is, you see what's going on for people waiting for the bus to go to St. Mark and St. John and St. Patrick and so. You see it. And my goodness, I feel sorry for these people. Even today, I was there and I was looking and you see one pile of people waiting.
We
they
have
can't
to
get
try to
transport.
always speak to these people. You understand? Speak to them to fix that road. People are suffering. Some people are going in stairs. You know, they have to try and fix that road.
Yes, indeed.
The government leave money there for y'all. All you messed up. But try and get some money some way. and try and get workers to build that road. We need the road. You in office now, sir. Mr. Dixon, you in office. Sit with the rest of members in Parliament for the Unitarian people and try and fix that road for us. It's not an easy task. For we as a people, the road in Montgomery is breaking. We need to get that road fixed, please.
Okay.
Andy Williams, all you get together. You got to love Grenada. Fix the road.
Cammy,
My God.
That look like we seen that before Christmas. Anyway, good night, Cammy.
Yeah, good night.
All right, my dear. That look like we seen that before Christmas because you was hearing different dates coming up and up and up and up and now it reached no date at all. We can't hear a proper date when it's going. And again, it's destroying because once that road is reopened, then you have to go back and do some work on the Mount Morris Road, you know. Seriously, you have to do some serious work on the Mount Morris Road. You're going to have to widen different areas. You're definitely going to have to repave certain segments and that sort of thing. So once that road is complete in Molyneux, whenever that is, you still have to understand that you're going to then have to immediately start doing some work in the Mount Morris area. Hello, good night.
It's the Sunday program. What's wrong with it?
No, the Sunday program with Mr. Andre Donald and Igwe and so on and Carl Caton, that program will be starting back on Sunday coming. They took a little rest during the period, the carnival period and so they will be restarting on Sunday coming. Yeah, so you look forward to it on Sunday with KB and so. That'll be on Sunday. Hello? Hello? Okay, all right. Yeah, so that program, some folks have been asking about the program. That's not the extension. That is is it the extension? No, I'm trying to remember the name of the Sunday program, but that will be back on this Sunday from the information that I do have. All right. Remember in the morning, it's Political Wednesdays on 91.9, 91.5. And yeah, and then we have, I believe, Prince will be on tomorrow evening with the classroom. Tomorrow morning, expect Mosquito Man will be on with the buzz. And on same thing again on Thursday, with the exception, you won't be having Political Wednesdays. They'll be having the agricultural program on 91.9. And then on Thursday, you do have, God's willing, you have Simon Says will be coming on. All right. And as Jenny said in her program last week, every time something go wrong, the NDC try to blame the NNP. Anytime something go right, they try to take all the credit for it. So something happened good, even though they had absolutely nothing to do with it, they try to take the credit. Something goes wrong, they immediately try to place the blame on the news. It's like, look at children, little children. The little children in primary school, some of them stand up and take blame for different things. Some of them even take blame for things they didn't do in primary school. But you have a government that every time something go wrong, they try to take blame for, they try to place the blame on the other government. Yeah, come on, man. I mean, be reasonable. So again, for those who may have missed it, I did say David Cameron. No, it's Tony Blair that visited last week, and information was sent out in relation to it. You know, if we say something wrong, we want to correct it one time. So Tony Blair, and the information was sent out. That is a few days ago. Nice, right? Yeah. So it's not David Cameron. All right. 440-7377. That's 440-7377. Yeah. And also, still waiting, press secretary, what happening? You understand? Because we know the last press secretary did not renew their contract from what we are hearing. Did not renew their contract. For whatever reason, I ain't going to speculate, but did not renew their contract. That's a person who probably earned, according to what the figures that we were hearing, may have earned as much as 0.1 million between last year and this year as the press secretary, because we're hearing salaries over 10,000. We're hearing all kind of thing. We don't know what that individual's salary was. Yeah, because we were hearing that the press secretary was earning a salary of $10,000. The question was posed in different formats in Parliament, and there was a refusal to answer the question. In fact, the arrogance of the present Minister of Finance came up in relation to that. And it was kind of like, We will give you that when we're ready to give you that kind of response. So we are left to speculate that that individual within the period of their contract may have earned as much as 0.1 million. We don't know. That is a possibility. We are not saying that is the case. We are saying that that could be the possibility. We don't know because we have never been told what their monthly salary is. All right? So we need to know. We still need to know what their salary is. Miss Nila Etienne, yeah, what taking place with you, girl? Will be very interesting to hear what is taking place, my dear. We've got a caller online. Good night.
Good night, Sheldon.
Good night, ma'am. How are you?
Good night to your listeners. I am fine, you know. I'm doing well. I just want to call tonight. I know it's not my night, but remember I have
every night is your night. You could call whenever you want.
I just want to commend Senator Nillan Franklin for the questions raised in relation to the seed program in the Senate. Today was a rather interesting one for me. I must say how impressed I am of this young man. Now I can provide some answers, but will allow the minister to do her job. Position carries responsibility. So, I want to quote the Calypsonian scholar to say, don't remain in the darkest part of the sun. Find the information. And it's not difficult to do so. I have been saying, and I'm going to say it again, we have a wonderful system, the BMIS, and there are officers who can manage that system and get the necessary information, the pertinent information. The safety net officer, the BMIS officer, as well as the BMIS clerk can provide the answers, and it shouldn't take more than a day. So, I can tell you what I inherited in May of 2013. I have my figures in my book here. The last payment of April 2013, we had 3,366 elderly, that's persons on the public assistance, 2,377 students, that was the transportation program, with a total of 5,743. So, the information is there. So, I really want the minister to provide the answers.
You want to know something funny? I didn't get a chance to look at it yet. I was trying to see that particular part before I left home. And from what I've been told by several colleagues in the media and so on, that the minister said that how she has 90 days to answer the question, according to the standing orders. I don't know which standing order. I still have my copy of the standing orders from when I was in the Senate.
Well, this
and nowhere in that,
so ridiculous.
But nowhere in that gives you as long as 90 days to answer a question. You're supposed to answer it actually within 30 days of receipt.
But listen, Sheldon, you're going on the system, and it's not taking more than a day. No,
before you go,
don't get this information,
Don't run off. Let me just go over the questions that we're speaking about here, because I think it's important people know what we're talking about. So Senator Nillan Franklin will ask the Minister for Social Development and Gender Affairs, Senator the Honorable Gloria Thomas, the following questions. 1. Will the Minister for Social Development and Gender Affairs provide this Honorable House with A. the total number of seed beneficiaries before June 23rd, 2022?
Right, so I have the figures for June of 2022.
Don't go check you.
As I'm saying, I will not disclose that. Let her find it. And I could say she could just open and find it,
Yes.
But
2.
no, she needs to do her work.
2. The number of beneficiaries who were removed from the seed program from June 23rd, 2022 to July 28th, 2023, and the reasons for the removal of these beneficiaries from the seed program.
But Sheldon, here, I didn't want to go because I have a presentation coming up.
You're staying right here.
Why? the answer to that would be very embarrassing. You know why? Most of the persons removed have been replaced. And they're doing that quietly. And as I say that, I want to thank them. The case that I highlighted, the lady from Telescope, a 72-year-old mother with her 42-year-old daughter. Do you know she received money this month? No communication, huh?
So she's been put back.
Back. Quietly put back. What is this? Can somebody tell me? The minister need to explain that too. So those persons were replaced quietly.
Yeah, so that question has been asked. Question C, the names and constituencies of beneficiaries removed from the seed program. So a breakdown by constituency of the constituents that were removed. And that is easy
not difficult again
in the algorithm that's there.
On the program are there according to constituencies.
And the second question he had for that minister, will the Minister for Social Development and Gender Affairs inform the Senate of A, the number of new beneficiaries who were added to the seed program from June 23rd, 2022 to July 28th, 2023. B,
that's easy again because they did enrollment, so all the names they should have a file because those persons should sign their contracts. The system can give you that information as well as there should be the enrollment file to provide the names of all households enrolled into the program. That's the new one.
So he's also asking here for the names and constituencies of beneficiaries added to the seed program from June 23rd to July 28th, 2023, and the reasons for adding each of these new beneficiaries to the seed program.
Okay, yes, because they should fall in target groups. So the target groups will tell you whether it's a disabled, a chronically ill, an elderly or school-age children.
The total number of beneficiaries currently in the seed program, the total cost incurred to add the new beneficiaries to the program, the total amount of money spent on the seed program from January 2023 to July 2023. All information you could get in less than a day.
These are simple questions, less than a day. So, what she's doing with 3 months? So, what are her officers doing, sleeping on the job? So, Sheldon?
Yes. Well, we'll return to this one very soon.
I wish the senator would also ask how many doctors were removed, as well as how many dead persons they found.
Well, based on the information that he ought to receive.
Yes.
It should state the reasons for the removal of the individuals.
Yes. How many doctors? Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many? Yeah. Anyway,
because he did ask for the reasons for the removal, so it should state that this person is a practicing medical doctor, and they earning thousands of dollars, so they shouldn't be here. That is what needs to be put. All right, my dear. But thank you so very much.
Good night,
all right,
listeners.
Thank you so very much, my dear.
Okay, bye.
Yes, folks. In case you all didn't make out, that's Miss Leonora Georgia that gave us a call there in relation to this particular issue. Yeah, Senator the Honorable Neelan Thomas. What? Say Neelan Thomas. This Thomas thing sticking in my head, Neelan Franklin. Yeah, he also asked some other questions, Yeah, he asked the Minister of Health, Lako. He asked him at the sitting of the Senate on June 6, 2023. The Minister for Health stated, so at this particular point in time, we did receive a stock of pharmaceuticals last week. I believe, and we have since distributed that to our general hospital and also subsidiary institutions, and we trust that these things are going to be much smoother moving forward. Therefore, will the Minister for Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs inform this Honorable House? Because you say that they get medication and they send it out. How many containers landed in Grenada with medicine and medical supplies procured by the government? By the government and not by Wendy and Nurse Wendy and them sending things. No, by the government. Right. What were the landing dates when the containers arrived? What were the clearance dates? So it came in. Was it cleared 5 months later? Was it cleared same day? Was it cleared the next day? Right. What medicine and medical supplies were procured? Right. When were the medicine and medical supplies distributed to the hospital and subsidiary institutions? What was the cost of procuring the medicine and medical supplies? How much money was owed to the OECS Pharmaceutical Procurement Services. How much money has been paid to the OECS Pharmaceutical Procurement Services to date? Yeah, and then he also had another question. Neelan, will you ask a real question, brother? Will the leader of government business provide the Honorable House with the total number of beneficiaries who receive concessions for the creative economy thus far, the names and constituencies of the beneficiaries of these concessions, the total amount of money foregone by the government through the issuance of these concessions? Yeah, so we want to know who are the people in the creative industry that get the local setup and the local kakada and them thing, you know. Yeah. They want to know who is the people that get them thing and them. Right? Yeah, because we're hearing all kind of thing, you know. Yes, I told you all. Listen, even when it comes to the Imani program, there are significant numbers of people that have been removed from the program. I see them. Yeah, that have been removed from the program. But they are learning from their prior mistakes. They're not going to just take 1,000 or 2,000 or even 500 and send them home just like that. What they have been doing is trickling it. So you say St. Andrew Southeast, you have a 2 or 3 Imani, you send them home this month, and you send home a 2 next month, you send home a 1 the following month, and so on. And by the time you check yourself, you have next to none in that constituency. The same thing with St. David or South St. George or so. They're not going to send them home in batches to say, well, we sent home 50 today and so on, 50 in one constituency and 15 and next way, and people come and say, well, okay, look, 300 Imani gone home. No. They know the psychological effect of that. So they're trying to play smart with it. And they are reducing significantly the numbers of people under the program, not through them finding employment or alternatives to engage these individuals, but they're sending some of them back home. But how they're doing it is by the drip. Send home 1 today, 1 here, 1 there, 1 thing. By the time you catch yourself, within 6 months, you realize 400 or 500 go home, but because it was not done en masse, people didn't really realize what's going on. All of that, that's the different strategies that they have been using, yeah, to whittle down the number of people under the Imani program. It is similar to what they were doing with the seed program. And when the Honorable Kate Skeeter Lewis Peters stood up and she said, listen, you all have been sending people home under the seed program. They jump up, the minister jump up and say, well, maybe the MP have information that he don't have because it's not true. And that thing, and she was able to embarrass him because she was able to point to at least 3 or 4 people, at least 3 or 4 instances of people that were sent home. Yeah, she was able to point to it, say, listen, this person, that person. You all even take a blind man off the thing until the man started to make noise and thing. Then you all say it's a mistake and you put him back. But the bottom line is he was taken off. Yeah? You just hear the situation that Ms. George spoke about again of other people that were taken off of the program and have now been placed back on because they realize people hear what they're doing and so on. There are others that probably just off the program and they don't have anybody to fight with them. They have nobody to fight with them, stand up with them and fight and say, yes, we're going to get you back onto the program, or we're going to make sure that the world knows what they're doing to you. So there may be many others out there. Right? 440-7377. That's 440-7377. That's the number for you to get onto tonight's program. Yeah, that's the number for you to get onto tonight's program.
If you know inside your heart clean, please, I beg you don't study them no more. We're living in a bad mind society. People refuse to grow. Bad mind, I see you. So continue moving along. No, I don't need you. Oh, no, I don't need you. What all bad mind, I see you. So continue moving along. No, I don't need you. No, no. Hey, cause everything where you see down there and gossip, I know already. Your lifestyle toxic, so don't come near me. Everything where you see down there.
Yeah, 440-7377. I know I didn't go through my roll call earlier. I apologize. Zela, Zoe, and Exalia, sorry. I didn't know. children face maybe the vex tonight. Oh, come, don't call us. But let me do this thing about it. But Senator Thomas was talking about it's she needs at least, you don't need 3 months. Minister, you lie. You don't need a 3 months. You don't have number one, according to the standing orders, you don't have 3 months. You have 30 days. You don't have no 3 months. So that first part, that's a lie. You stand up in Parliament today and you lie. All right. The second thing is, and we just heard it from Miss Lenora George there, it's not a difficult thing to get. It's simply some keystrokes on a computer to have that information collated and printed out. And that is the minister telling me that she's in charge of a program and she don't even have an idea how many people under the program? Yeah? Even when I wasn't in the Imani program, I cannot tell you how much people was under the Imani program at any particular point in time. Because I kept in touch. I kept on top of things. So you know this is how many people you have in the program. And you get your updates. You have weekly, you have monthly updates and so on that you get. You know that, okay, at your management meeting. So she's not having management meeting with the people in the seed program. She's not having meetings with them. They're not telling the minister what's going on under the program. So she has no idea of how many people under the program right now, how many have been removed. Even the names, and that's easy thing to get. Just get that printed out. And because we're hearing some names inside there as beneficiaries that I don't really want to believe. I understand? But again, these days when I say I don't want to believe, does end up finding out afterwards that these things are indeed true. So I'm hearing some names, and before I dispel the names that I'm hearing as people that are receiving payments under that program, before I dispel that out of my mind that it is not true, it is not happening, want to make sure, for sure, because these people lying too bad. Yeah. The line too bad, man. Yeah. Let me play one for you. Yeah.
A Grenadian man up in Miami. Pick up the phone and tell the phone.
We have roughly about 17 minutes remaining on tonight's program. Again, I'm really concerned.
I know you could comprehend. My PM, I want you help me defend. Imagine the man just got in power. He says he's Grenada biggest liar. Said the man is an attorney of law. Yes, the man is a big liar. But in case you still want a clue, he wanna go big case against.
I'm seeing one of the people who are in the chat here are saying that there's no dressing at some of the health centers and that sort of thing. Really, I mean, we still at that stage because I thought the minister said all them things done. Antonito, what's up, bro? That they've sent all those things because you had the carnival coming up and they wanted to make sure that they properly stocked and all of that kind of thing. I find it difficult to believe anything that these individuals are saying now, especially considering what I've been hearing days like today and so on, that a minister would go there and would spend all that time attacking the people who have been asking him to speak on a particular issue, but the people who created the issue, who made the issue, not saying a word to or about them. Yeah? Not saying a word to, or I don't know, the real afraid that president of the teachers union by. Mr. Minister, who you was calling in Canada, right, true boss? That's why he ain't talking about one particular person who was part of the story, huh? It wasn't anybody from the New National Party that was in that GBN news broadcast. Are you saying that GBN is broadcasting false news? Well, you had the opportunity to clear it up because, again, GBN had been trying to find you, Mr. Minister, to gain some clarity in relation to that particular issue, and you were unavailable. They could not locate you, which is very strange considering it's GBN. But they could not locate you. They could not find you. So you want to know what has been taking place. Yeah? So don't feel you're off the hook, because you see that end part that you say there? Let me see if I can find it and bring it to that part. You see that final part when you're talking there? Let me see if I can bring it down to there. Yeah.
Sexuality education, to introduce a new LGBTQ curriculum or anything of that sort. And we remain committed to the values of the Grenada people. But I want to say, we have an aversion for sexuality, Madam President, that we need to look at, because that's where the scare is coming. Because all those things are right around us. In the news, in the cartoons, in the advertisements, they're everywhere. And if we pretend, Madam President, 30 seconds, if we pretend that they don't exist and put our heads in the sand like ostriches and pretend that it doesn't exist around us and tell education to shut up and tell the church to shut up, who informs our children about the right values? Who informs them about how to make the right choices?
So yeah, so the but part is the part I have a little issue with there. See that but yeah, I have a problem there, yeah?
It's coming. Because all those to introduce a new LGBTQ curriculum or anything of that sort. And we remain committed to the values of the Grenada people. But I want to say, we have an aversion for sexuality, Madam President, that we need to look at, because that's where the scare is coming. Because all those things are right around us. In the news, in the cartoons, in the advertisements, they're everywhere. And if we pretend, Madam President, 30 seconds, if we pretend that they don't exist and put our heads in the sand like ostriches and pretend that it doesn't exist around us and tell education to shut up and tell the church to shut up.
So in other words, if they still decide that they're going and do that, we're not supposed to say anything. We're not supposed to say shut up and thing, because by doing that, we apparently are being ostriches with our heads in the sand. Well, I know about ostrich. I in Grenada. Me know about ostrich and them kind of thing down here. And I hear about them thing. I don't know about them. All right, yeah. Final time.
And we remain committed to the values of the Grenada people. But I want to say, we have an aversion for sexuality, Madam President, that we need to look at, because that's where the scare is coming. Because all those things are right around us. In the news, in the cartoons, in the advertisements, they're everywhere. And if we pretend, Madam President, 30 seconds, if we pretend that they don't exist and put our heads in the sand like ostriches and pretend that it doesn't exist around us and tell education to shut up and tell the church to shut up, who informs our children about the right values? Who informs them about how to make the right choices? Thank you very much, Madam President.
Yeah, you see that part, yeah. You see all you say before, but you see when you come to, after you've said something and you say, but, in other words, you're opening the other avenue. In that, yeah, all of that is so, but yeah, we may still have to do it in the future. You understand? We can't duck from it all the time. We're going to have to do it. Yeah? So that is basically what I was picking up from what he's saying there. All right? And roughly just about 10 minutes remaining. About 10 minutes remaining. All right, folks? Yeah, so about 10 minutes remaining on tonight's program.
That man is a professional liar.
That maybe they want to transform and realign the educational system and the curriculum, yeah?
I'm telling you deep in that conversation, he said he not speaking about profession, oh God. He said he loved the PM, he's a real nice guy, but people said he better than Bong to lie. I say, well, mister, you puzzling me, because Bong to lie is an attorney. Well, the man get vexed and he start to cause. Take transformation in your shot A, and you could make yourself a big clown. And right about now, his boots on the ground. The man is a liar. He promised the nation before consultation that he closing MNIB.
Yeah, you know what, for your behavior today, I'm still not interested in listening to no back to school address. So don't bother do it now. You're interested in it. We're not listening. We don't want to hear nothing.
That man is a liar. He told us to take heed. He will control the weed. He will trap it.
Isaac Christian, you line like that? No, come on, man.
Man is a liar. Yes.
Trying to obfuscate the issue and confuse people. You understand? Yeah.
A professional liar.
Tomorrow night, folks, I am attempting to get the Honorable Emlyn Pear on with me tomorrow night. We have to reconfirm tomorrow morning, so I'll be doing that tomorrow morning. But I should be having on line with me tomorrow night the Honorable Emlyn Pear.
And at the same time tell us in we face, as a liar he never lost a case. So I say let's stop that conversation.
So we could be having a conversation in relation to a lot of things, you understand?
You listen to GBN radio, I call on name cities Murolo.
You all ever ask yourself, let me just use a quick one here. Have you all asked yourself, a student who lives in Grenville and they are going to TAMCC, how much does it cost that student? Now, if they're going over the hills, that means that they have to pay $6 one way and $6 the other way, so that's $12. And you still have to add what, $5 if they're coming from any of the inner areas to get to Grenville to get the bus to go down to town, right? So you may have to add that additional money there as well. I don't know if they're paying $5 as TAMCC students, if they're paying $5 like to go and come, but anyway. So that's $6. You're still on top of that, and let's add it up as we go along. So that's $12 that they're paying there on a daily basis, right? Multiplied by 5. All right. No, actually multiplied by 10. So yeah. So you're speaking there roughly $240 per month for one of these children to get down from Grenville itself. That's not if they're living somewhere outer Grenville and they have to take a bus like this. Let's say they're living La Poutrie or where, and they have to take a bus from La Poutrie, come down to Grenville, then to take a bus from Grenville to come down to town. And if they don't pass on the East Coast and they drop in town, they have two options. Take a bus in town to go over to Tantine or walk. Yeah? So that might mean an additional money that they have to find there. We ain't speak lunch yet. Yeah, we ain't even speak lunch. So you could be speaking somewhere around $300 to $400 on a monthly basis. And that's just for a student who might be living in Grenville, St. Andrew, right? What about a student who's living in St. Patrick and has to take a bus? Let's say they're in River Sally or they're in somewhere up there and they have to grab a bus now, come down to Grenville, and then from Grenville, and that might be what, $4 one way, $8, right? Then they have to grab a bus from there to head down to, if they're lucky, and they get one that's going on the Eastern Main Road, then they're dropping right into Antine itself. But if they have to go over the hills, then they have to either walk or pay a bus from town to go over there. So when people are talking, because I know with the new National Party, one of the things we focus on is the transportation for the students, because you found situations where students, their tuition was paid. So your tuition could be fully paid and so on, right? Everything is paid for your tuition. But then, even though that is paid, you can't afford to get down to the school. And sometimes you could get down to the school, but you can't afford to eat anything. Yeah? Because they remember volume of money. So that is why through the TAMCC, you tried to you had that system within TAMCC where you assisted with transportation, and then others were assisted through seed and programs like that to be able to get them to go to school. Yeah? That is why you were doing things like that. But now some people jump up and they say, well, we're doing free tuition. Tuition is only one component. Yeah? Tuition is only one component. So you did tuition, right? Tuition is one component. While you all might be doing it that way, I could tell you, even myself, I know other MPs and former MPs that have paid out of their own pockets the tuition for students who are going to TAMCC. Many that I know have paid out of their own pocket, not through the government system. Yeah? They take out their own money and paid for students to go to TAMCC. Right? Because that's one component. But after that is paid, you have to follow up with the transportation aspect of it, because that actually costs more. Transportation, lunch, and so, that actually ends up costing more than the tuition anyway. The tuition is a smaller component. These are the components on them. Because yes, again, everything is paid for you to go to the MCC and then you can't afford the bus to go down. What sense it make? What sense? What really and truly, what sense does it make? But we'll get into that a little more tomorrow night. We'll get into that once we do have Honorable Emlyn Pear on with us. We'll get into that and we'll get into a lot more things. Yeah? Because I'm telling you, it's not easy. And we're just talking on that side, you know. What about the students who living on the West Coast that don't have the option of taking a bus that could drop them in Tantine? What about those students? They don't have an option to say, well, they're going to take a bottom road bus to drop in Tantine, you know. Their only option is to drop in town. And then either they have to foot it or they have to take a bus from, so you're coming from Guelph, they have to take a bus from Guelph, come to town, and then from town to go. Or if they're living outside of the town of Guelph or wherever, they may have to take a bus or a taxi, you know, Guelph does run, and come down to Guelph to get the bus to come down. The same with people in St. Mark. The same with people in St. Patrick who are passing on that side. They may have to take the bus from wherever and they come down to Sates, they get the bus, they come down, and then they drop in town and they have to either walk or pay the bus. Have money to pay a bus to go over and to come back. And then lunch. You can't learn if you're hungry. If all you're studying is your belly hurting you and you're in pain and so, you cannot learn. So they have to be able to eat and so. So if you're seriously looking at anything outside of window dressing, outside of just doing things to say, we care about you and look, we do this. We care about you and you do that. And so on. And when it stands up to scrutiny, you realize it paper thin. It just falls apart. Yeah? It just falls apart. Because you could see that these things are being done without proper consultation and without a proper thought process behind it. It's the same reason that you're going to set up bins, different places, and say, put paper here, put glass there, put this there, whatever, and so, and then come with one garbage truck and throw everything mixed together. And then go and dump everything mixed together. Because all you want people pass and say, oh, Grenada is doing recycling. Well, where are the recycling locations? Yeah? And I'm asking it because I still don't know if they have different trucks that are coming around and one truck is coming up that has different compartments that is going to separate the waste and then bring it and deposit it into different locations for it to be recycled. Or if it's a situation that they just have the bins and everything is being packed into the bins and then you bring it and you just dump all of it together up in Perseverance. Because it seems as though that is what happening. That's what I'm picking up is happening. It seems as though that is what is happening. So again, window dressing. You do something to be able to say, well, we do it. But when you poke at it a little bit and you test it, it cannot stand up to proper scrutiny. It's paper thin. Less than paper thin. Bamboo paper thin. So by the time you poke it, it falls apart. Yeah? And that is what we see happening with a lot of things that this administration is doing. They do it to be able to say, yeah, look, we do this, we achieve this. Yeah? So whether it's the freight on the port, whether it's color-coded bins, and here's what, I'm not against color-coded bins. In my belief, Grenada should have been recycling a long time ago. But I also understand the constraints in relation to recycling. Yeah? And I also understand fully well that if you're going to do recycling, that it should be an OECS level project and not just a Grenada project, because we do not generate enough waste to make it useful to have any significant recycling plant located in Grenada, and no country is going to go through having to pay to take that waste out of Grenada to go and recycle it because you don't have enough being generated. As such, you're supposed to do that at the OECS level. So Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Antigua, St. Kitts, all the islands, that you have a concerted effort through all of them. So all the paper from them going to one location to be recycled, all the glass, all the metals, aluminum, whatever, comes from there to one location. The organic could stay in that particular country and be used back into the soil and that kind of thing. But again, that is what people who think does think like. Other people, did I just do things for show? Folks, that's all the time we have for tonight. It's been wonderful being here with you. In everything you say and do, it's safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you and not about you. Love each and every one of you unconditionally. And tomorrow night, yes, we will be back, God's willing, with more talking points for you. I am out of here.
Something turning the people up, and it's not even your own doing. As such, it's not the people, it's not the house, it's the very vibes that coming out from that speaker, the one that you love so much. Is that old speaker that causing that? That same speaker, it is a fact. They say that old speaker, it have a crack. That very speaker, rock attack. Look, people walking out, people staying out. Throw that speaker out, make it hush it mouth. Listen to the song they singing.